Uh, Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hans Klingon, Chairman of the Village of Fishkill Planning Board. At this time, I'll ask the secretary to take a roll call to establish a quorum, please.
Hans Klingon? Hans?
Did you mute yourself again, Angie?
She's not
No.
Oh,
muted.
there you
You
go.
come in very low, Andy.
Now you're muted.
There you go.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Hans Klingon,
here.
Teresa Cucciolo,
Here.
Steve Brown,
Here.
Brian Gaston,
Here.
Raylene Van Gelderen,
Here.
and also in attendance, we have alternate member Grant Ackerley, Tom Vantine, our code enforcement officer, Sarah Brown, our village planner.
Okay. I have confirmed with the board council that tonight's meeting has been convened in accordance with the governor's March 13th, 2020 executive order number 202.1, which suspends certain provisions of the open meeting law to allow a municipal board to convene a meeting via video conferencing in accordance with the executive order. Public has been provided with the ability to view tonight's meeting, and a transcript will be provided at a later date. I have done a roll call with the board members, and there is a quorum present of this meeting. I have also confirmed with the board secretary that this meeting has been duly noticed and have fulfilled the legal notice requirements by posting notice in the village bulletin board and news organization, etc., and posted notices on the village agenda center of its website. Okay, with that, I'll call the meeting to order for the January 21st, 2021 meeting. First order is approval of the minutes of November 19th, 2020. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
Mm-hmm.
I did. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
This is Steve. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a second?
Hi, it's Teresa. I second.
I have a motion second on the board. Will the secretary take a roll call vote, please?
Hans,
Yes.
Teresa,
Pass.
Steve,
Yes.
Raylene?
Raylene is on mute.
Raylene, you're muted.
I tried to unmute it and it won't allow
She's
me
a
to.
phone. Yeah.
On her phone.
She muted herself when there was a feedback before.
Up there.
Okay, Raylene, are
she's
you there?
back.
Yes,
Okay, Raylene, a roll call vote,
yes,
and Brian. Brian, you're muted.
Yes.
Okay, that's carried.
Okay, first item on the agenda this evening is Burger King freestanding sign. Is the applicant present?
Yes, sir.
Identify yourself for the record, please.
Yes, sir. My name is David Ratliff. I am from Site Enhancement Services, and I am here representing Burger King on this particular issue.
Okay, I thought we approved all the signage on this. Tom, you want to fill us in on what's going on?
Mr. Chairman, there's two signs outstanding here. It's actually combined to one. When they came before your board previously with the site plan and whatnot, the only thing they did not get approved at that time, for whatever reason, was the freestanding sign. There was a delay as far as getting into the board on our part because they kept submitting the previous site plan. We now have the current site plan, which shows the actual location of the proposed sign. When I say there's two signs into one, there's one freestanding sign that's 15 feet above grade and a smaller sign below it on the same pole. But there is two separate applications.
Do these signs comply, Tom?
They do, yes.
So the first sign is 5 foot high by 5 foot wide. And it states that it's, which sign is this?
This would be the Burger King logo at the top of the freestanding sign.
Okay,
And then beneath it, we have a manually changeable reader board.
So that's the two signs.
Yes,
Correct, yeah.
that is correct.
Gotcha. Oh, okay.
so that, it's actually two signs on one post, is that it?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
We normally do one sign at a time, but considering it's one sign, two signs on one post, I think we could do it all in one shot. Does anybody have objections to that?
No objections.
No
I-
objection.
I don't, it's Teresa.
No.
Okay. Okay, Teresa, what's your thoughts on this?
It's Burger King. It reminds me that there's burgers in there. Yeah, it's, looks familiar. No, I'm fine.
Okay, Steve,
Yeah, I have no problem with this, Hans.
Brian?
No issue with it.
Okay, Grant?
No objections.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve these signs then.
Move to accept the freestanding Burger King signs as per application. This is Teresa.
Do I have a second?
Is it Brian? I second.
This is,
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor. Will the secretary please take a roll call vote?
Hans,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Steve,
yes.
Raylene,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
that's carried.
Okay, you're all set then.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is 10 North Street, certificate of appropriateness. Is the applicant present? Who's going to be the applicant on this, Tom? Do you know?
Well, it would either be Bill Ross, the owner, or the contractor. And I don't know if one of the ones on the bottom are muted is representing the contractor or not. I'm not sure. But if they're not here, they're not here. Amanda, are you one of the applicants? Amanda, you're muted.
I am not. I'm representing Wells Fargo.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
How about 2502? You're muted. 388-2502? Okay. I have to assume they're not here then, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll postpone them till the end of the meeting in case they do show up.
That's fine.
Next item on the agenda is 40-42 Broad Street, certificate of appropriateness. Is the applicant present?
I am here, Keith Schofield from LMB Architects in Poughkeepsie.
Okay, Keith. Tell us then what's happening.
I'm not sure if Tony Segretti is on, but
He is.
okay. So I have submitted to the board 3 proposed items to look at as far as elevations go and a plot plan of where they would be situated. And the big thing that we look to achieve today really is before anything could really move forward with the project, we will need to have the okay for demolition permit from Tom so we can be referred to the village board to have this go through an approval process. And what that does is it would allow Tony to have the subdivided lots completed as far as the approvals for a bank purchase of the property. So literally the building would have to come down before I think all this could happen.
Tom, do we have to pick a design before they go before the village board?
I believe there's a performance bond that's required. I don't have that in front of me. I believe we required that last time. I'm not sure. Sarah, do you have any recollection of that?
I'm looking through the resolution right now to see if I can put my finger on that.
Thank you.
We're a little bit out of what we thought was going to progress with this since the structural report was received, because the board will remember originally proposal was to move the house, but now there's been structural reports that it's not structurally sound to make that move. So we did have safety measures in the resolution in case we came on these situations, but I don't have it right in front of me
Yeah, that's a good point. The performance bond, I think, was for the event the house didn't make the trip from one spot to the other spot.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then a performance bond for work within the village right away that was associated with it. I
Right, yes, yeah.
know that there necessarily is for the reconstruction of the house.
Okay. I mean, the performance bond for the right of way, we can address that later on, obviously.
Right, you can address that at the village board meeting, because they're the ones that would determine the amount and so on and so forth.
Yeah, the amount was $10,000. I remember that.
Right.
That's almost after the fact at this point.
Okay. So Sarah, tonight, what would we do tonight? Look at the and proposals and pick one of the proposals?
Yes, so the applicant has proposed 3 different conceptual plans. The board will remember part of, because it is a structure in the historic district, there was a requirement to move the same building, but that can't happen. But there is a provision here that it needs to be built in kind. So I think at our last meeting, you had a conversation about, obviously, the conceptual plans that you've looked at aren't exact replicas of the existing structure that is there right now. But there are conceptual plans that are in keeping with the original design of the house. And I think the board will need to consider that as part of your evaluation of what the applicant is proposing. And just kind of keep in your mind that they are supposed to have the same architectural elements and be as close as possible to the existing structure. So I don't think you need to, I don't think you should pick necessarily, but I think you should tell the applicant which ones you feel fit that criteria the best.
I think
That's basically what the 3 choices would be. We're willing to go with whatever works. I can go through them all at some point and discuss pros and cons, I think. Because obviously, we're trying to carry on the feel of what was or currently there. But it doesn't make it necessarily, we don't want to make a mistake of taking a building down and just building an ugly building back. We'd like to kind of help it a little bit and maybe give a little character to the street and keep the village feel. So, we can look at these elevations and I can tell you the slight differences between 2 of them. And the third, of course, is one with combined garages with the building. And I could tell you the pros and cons for those differences.
Is it possible to bring the renditions up on the screen there? So that we're all looking at the same thing?
I can do that.
Could you do that?
Yes. So I believe this is concept one.
Okay, so with concept one, this is this true difference between concepts 2 and 3, because 2 and 3 are basically just slight differences between the two. Now, concept one has an integrated garage on for each of the two-family homes. And what it is the main body of the house, when you look at it, is 62 feet wide. And then in the back, off to the sides a little bit, it's recessed back. So those stick out another 5 feet on each side. So, but they're not right at the street front edge. So if you look at the site plan, you can kind of see a little bit of the jog within that. If you can scroll the image down just slightly.
It is not allowing me to do that.
Can you shrink it? The buttons on the side?
Yes, I think I can. Does that help what you see?
No.
There you go. You're going. Does it go down more? There you go. Now, if you see the darker footprint, you'll see the two driveways, and you'll see two little rectangles where each garage would be. That the outside edges of each garage are the main width of the building, and then as you go towards the backyard, which would be towards the playground, you'll see it bumps out just slightly more. That's the two bumps that you see on each side. And that total width is 75 feet, I believe. So keep that in mind. Now, this is, what we're doing is we're carrying on, the same smaller square windows up above, the double hung windows around the rest of the house. And we'll have a carriage style garage door, and the main entry doors for each unit will be, a 3/4 glass, and there'll be a fiberglass door that can be stained to a color of fittingness to the brown color scheme. So if we can go to the next versions of concept 2. Now, concept 2 is the most recognizable resemblance of what's currently there. To the left side, you have the angled roof slope going up. To the right side, on the original building, is still a gable roof going towards the rear. And we continue with, again, double hung windows on the first floor, the smaller windows up above the porch, similar to what's existing. This difference, now we do a freestanding accessory garage. So if you look at the site plan there, you can see that it would be a 2-car wide garage and a 2-car wide driveway. The difference that you have now between option 1 and option 2 is you're actually looking at what was 75 with the other building. You're now looking at about 86 feet wide of building, including the garage. So there is some benefit of the first version because it minimizes the streetscape of the building, where this one, you have not only the house, which is 62 feet wide, but you have a garage that's 24 feet wide, and it's really not set too much farther back off the main face of the main house anyway. So I like this version, and I like the first version. And on the third version, if you go to that one, it's more of just a straight up rectangular facade from the street front. It's got the double hung windows. It's got the small windows over the porch roof. Again, we carry on the thought of the the same garage feel with the 2-car garage. So basically, concepts 2 and 3 are, concept 3 is gaining probably more square footage. Concept 2 reflects more of what the original front facade is. And concept 1, of course, is the garage is included, but a smaller streetscape.
The second and the third one have the same 86 feet of building.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. Yep, it's a 62-foot wide main house and then 24 for the garage.
Keith, the only thing I want to mention, and Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong,
Sure.
I believe the village code limits you to 1 curb cut per lot. So you'd have to get a variance for the integrated garages. Am I correct in that, Sarah?
I believe you are correct. I don't have it up in front of me, but
I don't either.
memory serves, I think you are correct.
Either way, I mean, we're happy to go with whatever version that you'd prefer. If you happen to like the other one, it would probably be worth going with the looking at a variance, I guess. But either way, you know, I know Tony was happy with all the choices, and we will work with you in whatever direction we can to keep you happy with that.
Can you go back to number 2?
Yes. Sorry, my Vanna White skills are not that great. There you go.
Personally, I think number 2 there, the house itself is the closest to what is there now with the 2 little end things there. And I don't know.
That's correct. I mean, if you look at the site plan itself, you can see the footprint shape. You know, it's not exactly the same because the original had doors on each end plus a door in the middle. So in this version, you know, we're just going with the 2 main entrance doors.
Yeah, the third one is very, it looks like a saloon to me, I think. Got a lot of roof.
Yeah.
And
So-
what I like about the second one compared to the first one is that most of the garages in the village are detached.
Mm.
There's very few that have are there any that have garages in the like, you know, like the first one is?
Not that I can think of, no.
Yeah.
Not many, no.
So I kind of think that sticks more with the, you know, the tone of the village. Well, except for Keith's house. His is connected.
Yeah. So Keith, I agree with Teresa. I think that the many of the older homes in the village have detached garages. So this is keeping it with the theme. Concept 2 is keeping with the theme of that, and it's also not the home is not perfectly symmetrical, which many of the older homes are not perfectly symmetrical.
Correct.
In the
I
village.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Okay, Teresa, which one do you like the best?
I like the second one.
Okay, Steve,
Yeah. Concept 2 I like a lot.
Grant,
Yeah, of the main building structures, I do like number 2. I know that, you know, we want to keep in light of the character of Broad Street and the village, but just, I don't like how long it is and how wide in the streetscape. So I do like concept 1, I think overall better, but
Yeah. I get that too.
just don't like the garage on the side. It kind of sticks, you know, especially with what Tony's trying to do, which is rent 2 units. Now the people have to, but that's a whole other issue, but I'm an appraiser. So from a valuation standpoint, to have the garages right there is much more convenient for the tenants, you know, to have it connected to the house. But
And just so you know, Grant, the original building is 62-foot 8 wide.
okay,
So I'm keeping that width. I'm trying to match that as a basis.
Yeah. So
I like 1 and
Keith,
2
you-
if I.
Yeah, Keith, this is Steve. Do you recall how wide the street frontage is for the current property?
I don't. I went off. Oh, actually, hang on. Let me see if I see it in one of these here.
Yeah.
I believe it's 127.14.
Yeah, so this will be around, the main property will be around half of that street frontage.
Yeah, you can, if you
Yeah.
look closely, you can kind of see I have the setback lines dotted in also on it. Since a garage is an accessory building, it's only required a 5-foot setback on the side, but I made it 8 foot because I wanted to have like a little overhang over the doorway when you're putting your key in the door, you're not getting wet depending on
Yeah.
what the weather is.
Yeah, so I guess my point was that this is a very wide parcel for the village too. It has a lot of street frontage.
Yes,
So it gives you the opportunity to put a wide profile structure on that and have it not look like it's crowding the boundaries of the parcel.
exactly.
Brian,
I think concept 2 kind of flows with the look of what's there, obviously. But I do agree with what Grant said about the garages in concept 1. Just being more workable for an individual tenant. But they both have their benefits. So looks wise, I think obviously, like I said, concept 2 goes with what is there, but either one is acceptable to me.
okay. Maureen, I know this is your first meeting and you're sort of new at everything. Just out of curiosity, which one do you like?
I like concept 2. I like it has more character and like commented what everybody else was saying, it goes more with the village. And I do like the looks of the detached garage.
Okay. I tend to go along with the second one also. I don't particularly like the garages attached to the house. So let's take a roll call vote. Would the secretary take a roll call vote and then identify yourself and which concept do you like? Angie, are you muted? You're muted, Ange.
Or her microphone hasn't been working.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
think it's my internet. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
Now-
Yeah.
I think it's my internet. It's my, yeah. Okay, Hans, for you?
number 2.
Teresa, for you?
Number 2. Yep, number 2.
Steve?
My preference would be number 2.
Raylene?
Number 2.
And Brian, for you?
Number 2 as well.
Okay, it seems like the consensus of the board is that we're going to go along with concept number 2, Keith.
Very good.
I think your next step now is to go to the village board, showing the concept that the planning board sort of approved, and get your demolition permit, and then come back to us with colors and all the other things that go along with that. You think you could have that done by our next meeting?
I can show you some colors now if you want, but it's not going to reflect very well with the Zoom thing.
No,
Right.
it does not.
I mean, it's hard to tell what the differences are between like siding colors. But they're James Hardie products and PVC products and light fixtures.
Nice.
Keith, the best thing to do is submit samples to us and we'll submit them to the members.
That's what I figured was going to end up happening,
Okay.
So I basically did, anything that I had to do is, I have an outside door, I have a garage door, I have roof shingle sample, I have siding sample, and porch lighting.
Okay, can you get those, get all those samples to Tom's office? And then the board members can make arrangements, with Tom to go and take a look at it, even though the village hall is locked up. I think we can, one at a time or more than one, go and take a look at it.
Yeah, I can leave hard samples and paper copies.
Okay.
Okay,
What we can do, Mr. Chairman, is we can do like Angie did, just take pictures of them and just submit them to the members as the
Okay.
actual pictures.
I would like the opportunity if we could go see them though.
That's fine too. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to make it easy for you. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, I can drop them off to Tom.
Okay.
Angie, is there enough time for Keith to get on the village board agenda for the workshop?
Yeah, just get in touch with Dan. He's the one that does the agenda.
Okay, because I think Sarah, is the village board gonna have to have a public hearing on this or not?
I would have to look at the demolition law.
Yeah, I don't remember.
From what I could tell, what I read was, since it's not a historic, it was up to the village board's discretion for that. If it was a historic, then I would definitely have to go through public hearing.
Yeah, it is, for the purpose of the demolition law, it is a historic, because you're in a historic district.
Okay,
So for the purpose of that, you will have to go to a public hearing, if that's the case.
but I believe it said if the building was historic, yeah, I would have to do that. If it was a non-historic building,
Well, I mean, in terms of expediency, I hope you're right, but I'm not sure.
okay,
I think
However it works.
if you can get on the village workshop meeting, they can make a determination whether there has to have a public hearing or not. And in that case, they can set the public hearing, which would happen before our next meeting.
that's fine.
Just for clarification, it does say historic structure in the demolition section of the code. But the village defines a historic structure as anything listed or eligible for the state or national register or located within the village of Fishkill Historic Preservation Overlay Zone, which this is.
Yeah.
So that would classify it as a historic structure by
That's right.
definition.
That's funny because there's 1950s houses in the historic district too, so.
There are. There are
Very
buildings
historic.
there are buildings built in the 1970s, 80s in the same district too. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Keith, I guess that would make a lot of us historic then, wouldn't it?
Yeah. All right, Keith, your next step is the village board and then get back to us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Right. Right, Tony.
Is the representative
night.
from 10 North Street, have they arrived yet?
Seen anyone new come into the meeting?
Okay. Nope, I don't see anybody.
Okay, next item on the agenda is 1098 Main Street, Wells Fargo lighting plan. Is the applicant present?
Yes, sir.
Identify yourself for the record, please.
Yes, Amanda Hentz with GMR, and I'm representing Wells Fargo for the two locations. They're working on permitting.
Okay, and you're adding light evidently.
Yes, so we attended the board, I believe it was last month, and we received comments, and we've since then addressed those comments and adjusted our design, but I do believe that you guys had additional comments that you wanted us to look at again for the lighting.
Sarah, what are your comments?
It's correct. They were at the last board meeting and we went over the lighting plan. There were some higher levels than we like to see in the village. So we did do a review. The applicant did respond and remove some of the fixtures that were proposed. But we're still, the lighting levels are still higher than what we would like to see. We do understand, we talked about this last month, but we understand about New York State ATM law and the foot candles that are required at the ATM and the surrounding area. But levels are still in excess of that. So we would like to see those lowered, and however that happens, if it's removal of fixtures, lower wattage within those, but some of the, I can go over the details from my memo, but some of the levels where they're required to be a maximum of 10 foot candles by the banking law, they're still at 39.28 foot candles, which is just way too bright. So where this is located, right in the central part of the village, there's residents nearby, and we just don't want to create a huge glare issue and light shine. Right. Did you receive a copy of our memo?
Yes, I did. And so I think that really helps us understand, you know, what we need to adjust. And then we will write a detailed letter in response to each item, whether there's what we changed or if there's any concern that we weren't able to meet it 100%. I did want to ask you guys, are the fixtures themselves an issue of the style at all?
Yeah, that's something else that I should have covered in my memo. So like the previous application, this is in the historic preservation overlay. So part of this application is actually a certificate of appropriateness. So what has been the past practice of the board is to require historic looking fixtures within this section of the village.
Okay,
So
perfect.
those hadn't been changed out from the last time, but I don't speak for the board, but I'm assuming based on your past actions that is something that the board will be looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we can definitely look at that for the pole lights. The wall lights is the only thing that I'm not 100% we'd be able to maybe have more of like a decorative historic looking fixture, just because we need the light to be thrown out, and decorative fixtures typically just don't throw that. And we're kind of up a couple things with the state laws. There's different heights that we have to have these foot candles at. And so that's something that's just a little bit unique, it's not just at grade level, it's at 5 feet, it's at 3 feet. So we'll definitely look at that and see if we can better meet that requirement.
Okay.
So Sarah, this is Steve. I think one thing that would be helpful for the board members is to help us accomplish what we're trying to do for lighting and concern about neighbors in the center of the historic district, and clearly allow the bank to meet its regulatory requirements, would be to be able to see what those requirements are specifically as to distance, height, and so forth.
I have that. I can get that to you.
Ah, perfect. Okay.
I
Thanks,
can
Tom.
skip those.
Okay.
Another thing that'll add just from a procedural aspect, this will have to be referred to Dutchess County Planning for their review. So it may be also helpful for the applicant if we did send the application to them at this time, so they could also give their comments during this portion. So any amendments or revisions that they're making to the plans, they'll also have the county's input at that point.
Should we send it now, or should we send the revised version when they come back with a revised version, then send it to the county?
It's completely up to the board. If they are further revised, if we send it now, Heather will weigh in with her comments, and then it would all depend. It'd be 30 days after that we would receive them. So we may want to do that sooner rather than later, so she can opine on the situation, and then the applicant will have the benefit of her comments too at the same time.
Okay,
Sarah, I'm not sure it makes a difference, but don't you think that Heather's going to weigh in on the bank safety law aspect as well, if we do it now?
She will.
Okay.
Okay, so why don't we send it to the county then? And so we'll have the county's information at our next meeting, and Amanda will have the revised also by our next meeting. How does that sound?
Good to me.
Yeah, I think that will be beneficial for the applicant to also have the county's comments.
Okay. Is that all right with you, Amanda?
That works. Will you guys be sending that, or do we need to go ahead and send it to the county? I'm not sure how that works, but.
So we'll need a hard copy set for the village to forward to the county.
Okay, perfect.
All right,
Okay.
so as soon as you can get it to the village, and then we can get it up to the county, Amanda.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay. And then the
Thank
county
you guys, appreciate
the county has 30 days to review it. But they will let us know when they have it, and it doesn't always take 30 days. So as soon as we get the review back, their comments, we will forward them to you as well.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Another thing we have to look at, Amanda, is that we've had the neighbors on Church Street have complained about the lights just lighting up their living areas and stuff. So, you know, we have to be, make sure that we don't light up the entire neighborhood there.
Understood.
Mr. Chairman, that'd be Academy Street, not Church Street.
Academy.
And I'm
Street,
sorry,
I'm sorry.
Robinson.
So. Okay, does anybody have any comments or questions at this time for Amanda? Teresa?
And I'll just add that, Amanda, while you're doing your design, if there are any questions, my contact information was on the email with the memo, so you can feel free to reach out to me to discuss them.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Teresa, do you have any comments at this time?
No, just
No?
that they should you look at it to be more historic, because some of those aren't very, but I mean, currently the ones there aren't very historic, so anything would be an improvement, I think.
Steve?
No, I don't have any further comments, Hans.
Okay. Brian?
No further comments.
Grant, you have any?
Not at this time, no. I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay. Raylene, do you have anything?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, we're all set then. Amanda, we'll see you next month.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, has the applicant for 10 North Street showed up yet? No?
Anybody?
Okay, Tom, you can get a hold of them and tell them that we'll talk to them next month if they decide to show up.
Yep.
Does anybody have anything to bring up?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a suggestion to the board that they may want to consider discussing how to close out the application that was left open for Church of Nazarene. As we all know, the Board of Trustees that opted not to vote on the application. However, I believe you still have an open application in front of your board that should be closed or finalized in some way.
I agree with you. Do they still have an escrow account going, Tom?
They have a negative balance.
They have a
I'm
negative balance.
sorry, they paid the zero balance, I'm sorry.
Okay, zero balance. Okay, so what we should do then, if the board feels to authorize me to send them a letter after we have talked to Tom and the attorneys, both attorneys involved in this thing, what their options would be. One would be to say, okay, we're going to drop the application. Two would be another thing that they could do is maybe consider another point of view that they would want to introduce. And it would seem to be a legal situation at this time as to what their options are. And if they do come up with any other options, then option number one, they would have to replenish their escrow account, right, Tom? That would be in the amount of?
Yes. Yeah, there are options right now are to either resubmit, like you said, or withdraw. That's pretty much it.
All right.
Right, just for the board's memory, since it's been a little time since we've talked about this, where we were in the process was they had gone to the village board for their zoning amendment because the senior living use is not an actual use within that district that they were proposing to rezone to. So without a zoning amendment or a rezoning, the application that's before you right now is not actually permitted by zoning. So the applicant either has to come up with something different or they need to withdraw their application.
Hans, this is Raylene.
Yes, Raylene.
I need to recuse myself.
Okay, Raylene. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay,
Good job. Thank you.
Okay, just to fill the board in as to what the planning board has done with this application is done the seeker process only. We did not, no approvals, nothing more, just the seeker process, which we had to complete by law. And then it was up to the village board to make a determination as to zoning change, and they didn't do that. So it would come back to us, and right now we can't do anything.
Right, so if they have an open application, and if they want to change completely, would that be the same application, or we withdraw it, and when they do it again, it would be more application fees and all that, right?
Yes,
Correct.
correct.
But we only can keep the applications open for a year, right?
That's it.
Yep.
It would be up to the applicant whether they wanted to remain or not. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just so I understand, there's no further action required by us at this point,
No,
Hans?
so no, there's nothing more that we can do at this point.
Okay,
Because the bare bones of it is that you have an application before you that doesn't comply with zoning. And their method of rectifying that was not entertained by the Board of Trustees. So they have to either withdraw their application or come up with some other alternative that would be zoning compliant.
okay.
And the zoning that they did not get was the senior living.
Correct. So it was two-pronged. They were asking to be put in the VCBD district, which is an extension of the district along Main Street. And then upon that, they were also asking for senior living to be added as a use within that district, both requiring a public hearing and zoning amendments from the Board of Trustees.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so the ball's back in the applicant's court, Sarah, yes?
Yes, and I think Tom made a good point by bringing this up, is that this board has done everything they can. You've processed the application as far as you can. They went to the Board of Trustees. So now the next step for your board, since there's no applicant here saying we're withdrawing, it's wise to reach out to them and ask them what their intentions are with the open application before your board.
Okay. And to Tom's point, if I understood it correctly, the escrow is zero at this point.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in our best interest that they make a decision on this.
I agree.
Well, do I have somebody's come up and say, this is the way we should go?
We need to make a motion, or is it just a suggestion?
I would like to hear a motion allowing me to send them a letter requesting what the next move is.
I would make that motion, Hans. This is Steve.
Do I have a second?
I second, Teresa.
Okay. Would the secretary take a roll call vote, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hans,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
and Brian.
Yes.
That's Carol.
Okay. I'll get that off to them within the next few days. Does anybody else have any comments or questions for Tom or anything they want to bring up at this time?
No, not me.
I don't.
Okay, just to bring the board up to the village Board of Trustees has put a moratorium for 6 months that on new construction. Is that correct, Tom?
Angie, correct me if I'm wrong, that's not in effect yet.
No,
No, it's not in effect yet. They passed a local law, but it has to be sent to the Secretary of State.
Yes.
okay,
So in a couple of weeks, when Dan gets a response back from Secretary of State, but it's not in effect yet.
okay. It would not affect anybody from doing anything, small additions or certificate appropriatenesses or signage. That would still come before us and we can act upon that. But anything major would have to wait until the moratorium is lifted.
Does that include the 40 or whatever Broad Street house? No,
No.
No,
that's
that was
included?
specifically exempt.
The
That's,
application is already in. So if you have an
No,
application.
what
in,
are we
it's
talking?
gone,
We could have ended this meeting an hour ago.
Why didn't we talk about this earlier?
I just want the board to know, be aware of that. So we will.
No
be meeting
major
with the-
construction?
Yeah. So we will be having a meeting next month because 40 Broad and 40 and 42 Broad and 10 North Street would still come before us next month. So our next meeting would be February 19th, I think. No,
Oh, 18th.
18th, February 18th. Which would probably still be a Zoom meeting. Unless everybody has their shots between now and then. So, any other comments?
No.
Okay,
No.
okay. You hanging in there, Maureen?
I am.
Okay.
Maureen, how do you get that blackout screen behind you? It's very theatrical. I like that.
My son.
Nice.
Explains it.
Well, that's
He
spray
had-
paint.
I'm in his room because he has this old triple monitor set up in his room, but
Uh-huh.
he has too much political signage. And I said, it's better off blacked out.
Okay, that being all said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved by Teresa.
Do I have a second?
This is Brian, a second.
Okay, I have a motion second. Will the secretary take a roll call vote, please?
Can't hear you.
Hans?
Scream.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, Teresa,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
All right, that's carried.
Okay, we'll see you next month. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Hi,
Okay, thank you.
Don.